Tom Clark's 6M podcast is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to Tom Clark's 6M podcast. I'm your host, Tom Clark. And in this episode, I'm joined by co-host Christopher Ray Patton. You either love ACDC or you don't. And when I say don't, it doesn't mean you hate them with a passion, although you could. But it may just mean, I don't really care about them. Or I just heard them too much through my life. Okay? But that's how I've always felt about this band, is that you either really love them or you don't. And again, there's different levels, kids, not to get too complex on you here. You know why? Because this is not a complex band. And I would think ACDC would be the first one to tell you, hey, we're not complex at all. We are a straightforward rock and roll band. And you watch any interviews these guys have given over the multiple years they've been together, and they've all said the same thing. We just play rock and roll. That's all we want to do. We don't want to give you love songs. There's other bands that can do that. They do it pretty well. We don't do that. We give you straightforward rock and roll. Where the love-hate comes in, everybody, is the fact that for a lot of people, one ACDC song sounds just like the next one. I have feelings on that. We'll get to that here today, I'm sure. But we want to talk about Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. And this is, I can't say this is the biggest ACDC album of all time. I mean, you know, that's not, Back in Black is going to take the record for that. It's to this day, I believe Back in Black is still the second best-selling album of all time. I mean, that's huge, everybody. If you don't understand what a big distinction that is, it's 2025. Okay. I mean, come on, everybody. It's, you know, if you don't want to give the band its due because you don't like them, whatever, but give them props. If you don't do anything else today, at least give them their props because, buddy, they've earned it. We got a lot to get to here today, kids. 9 songs to talk about. We're going to cover a little bit about the band and all that good stuff. Before we get there, though, let's do this. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap is the third international studio album by ACDC, released in December 1976 outside Australia. At the time, the band consisted of Bon Scott on lead vocals, Angus Young on lead guitar, Malcolm Young on rhythm guitar, Mark Evans on bass, and Phil Rudd on drums. Though the album received mixed reviews upon its release, it has since become one of AC/DC's most celebrated records, earning multi-platinum status and recognition as a cornerstone of the band's Bon Scott era. Praised for its raw sound, dark humor, and stripped-down hard rock style, the album is now considered one of AC/DC's essential early releases. And that is your lowdown on Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. So, Chris, we talked about, you know, what to cover the next time we did a 6M, and you pitched this to me, and you're very high on the sound of this album. And as we know, you are the musician on this show, so I can't wait to hear your take on this. What are you hearing, Chris, when you listen to this album that as a musician, you just makes you snap your fingers and goes, man, that's good? What are you hearing on your side?
Some of it is just the simplicity of it, right? Not overcomplicating it, not doubling any tracks, just being straight ahead rock and roll, like insistent on it. Almost like Rush. Like if you can't play it live, don't do it in the studio.
Nice.
Right? And this album, if you listen to this album, one, it's Bon Scott, and the American release actually happened after Back in Black, even though this album was recorded 5 years beforehand, which kind of makes it weird. And then Dirty Deeds, the title track, became a #1 hit and boosted their popularity even further because they're touring for Back in Black, right? But this becomes like their radio hit for a while there, which is really weird to think about. But yeah, like, you know, the way that they recorded this album, you can tell it was recorded in a small room, not like a big commercial studio. It's very minimalist. There's like minimalist, right? In the way it's recorded, like even the rock riffs, the equipment they used, very straightforward, just Marshall super leads, Celestion greenbacks, like it's all detailed. But the producers, Harry, I hope it's Fonda.
I think it's
always
Fonda,
pronounced it. And you know, Angus and Malcolm's older brother George, like they insisted on not doing any studio trickery, not double tracking, not adding a ton of reverb, and just trying to keep the guitars and the bass very rhythmically tight. And it kind of just it makes the band in general focus on how important a good groove is. And it's why they end up kind of being like stadium rock or arena rock, right? Because
Mhm.
that relates to everyone. So when you were open about this and you were like opening and you were talking about, people either love or hate this band, and some of it is just they've heard it, heard it too much. It's because it's really good at the end of the
It's
day,
true.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like I get it. Like everyone's heard Hell's Bells and Thunderstruck like a billion times, right? Especially if you go to a basketball game or a hockey game, or you're gonna hear ACDC. Like even in like high school games, you're gonna hear
For
ACDC.
sure.
It's just one of those things, but it's because it's really good, right? Like it's really simple, and I think I'm not even the biggest ACDC fan, but when I first pitched this to you and was talking about it, it's like I feel like I had this like hatred for ACDC when I was in high school, and that it definitely was not cool to like ACDC because it was like kind of associated with like jocks because of
Ooh.
the whole sports arena stuff. So
Right.
I think I said I want to take it back. Let's take back ACDC and glaze them a little bit, give them a little bit of love, because I feel like for the people that love ACDC, they really love ACDC, but everyone else I think just thinks of them as like the arena band. Um, for
I mean,
better or for worse.
for better or worse, sure. And to me, ACDC, to me, in one word, and we're getting ready to talk about these guys for an hour probably or better. One word, Chris, reliable. They're so reliable. When they put out an album, maybe you don't love as much as the last one, but if you're a fan, I guarantee you're going to find a song you love. Maybe the whole album. I don't know. But dude, they're so reliable. What you see is what you get. They know what they're good at. They know what their pocket is, and they stay in their pocket, and that's what they deliver. And on the times where they get, I'll use the word experimental, like the latest album, I forget the name of it, but it's got Realize on it. Not a bad tune. There's some tracks on that album I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm feeling this. Like, do you wait till 2023 when that album came out, I think, to try something different? I don't, you're ACDC. Like, I don't know, man. But to me, again, reliable is the word I think of when I think of this band, dude. Again, what you see is what you get. And when you put in an ACDC or a CD or album or on vinyl or just, downloading it from Spotify, whatever that sounds like, you're going to get a consistently good album, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And the other thing is, and one of the reasons that I wanted to do this album specifically is like when you hear this album, you know exactly what that band is, what they're going to sound like when you see them live.
Mm.
It kind of tells you, like, it sounds like it was recorded in a pub almost, like that oh, I was there. it
It's a
has
good
that,
call.
it has that vibe of like, if you listen to this album when it came out, this is a Bon Scott album, so the vocals, that's what makes it even crazier in America, because you have two different lead singers happening at the same time when this album released,
Right.
and both having radio hits, right? Like um this album definitely gives that vibe of like, that's exactly what I'm going to see or hear when I see them live. There's not like this in between of what this band is, and I think that's kind of like why when I heard this album again for the first time all the way through in like, I don't know, years and years, it kind of stuck with me. And I immediately sent you a message. I was like, we got to do this. Like, put a set of headphones on and listen to this album, man. It's a good time.
I agree with that totally. Speaking of the recording, it was from January to July of '76 at Albert Studios in Sydney. I don't know if I've heard too much about Albert Studios. You hear about a different, recording studios around the world, and some are more familiar than others. I don't know if I'm very familiar with Albert Studios or not. Maybe I should be.
Well, I think that kind of is what adds to the sound of this album, right? Like, it doesn't
Hmm.
sound acoustically perfect. That kind of is what gives it like, this is what you would hear if you saw them live at a bar,
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibe. I don't know a lot about Albert Studios either.
Hmm.
I know that they worked, ACDC ended up recording a lot of stuff there. It was mastered at EMI, right? So there's some,
Hmm.
all these albums, they go through a mastering process or whatever, but yeah, I don't know a lot about Albert Studios. Maybe we should have, maybe I should have pulled some notes about Albert Studios, but it's kind of you. If it was a big deal, I would, know more about it. That's what I would say. I think maybe it's
Sure.
just ACDC did this album there, and it sounds great.
Yeah. Evidently, Albert Productions is what it's is the company itself. During the '60s, they've been around for a long time, and let's see, '70s and early '80s. Fonda and Young enjoyed their own successful careers. Albert's recording artists, releasing their own music as well. So apparently, let's see, Stevie Wright, John Paul Young, AC/DC, The Angels, Cheetah, and William Shakespeare. It looks like an assorted list of bands and acts, but looks like AC/DC by far is the top dog coming out of the studio, I should say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, interesting. So some quick notes here, kids, before we dive into the tracks. The album cover, because I want to mention this. The international cover, there's two covers, kids. The international cover features a photo montage of suburban people standing on the street, all with their eyes covered by black censorship bars, which were added to match the album's themes of secrecy, illicit behavior, and underground dealings. That cover was designed by Hypnosis, the legendary British design group known for Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, and many 70s rock albums. Angus Young appears in the background holding his Gibson SG. And apparently, the other cover of Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap is, let's see, I think it's just got Angus, a photo of Angus on the cover, I believe, in his schoolboy outfit next to the band, I believe is what it is.
Yeah, that sounds right. But I've only ever known the censor bar one.
Me too.
I don't know if at some point it got replaced, and they were like, "No, just go back to the original art."
One was international, and I think one was just the Australian release. I think it's how it worked. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I know that I've seen that photo from this album cover, but it's not. When I think of this album, I think of the classic one with the censor bar.
It's great. It's a great cover, man. Yeah, it's a great cover. I love it a lot. The also, you mentioned about the release time on this. It's really funky. It wasn't released in the U.S. till '81. It went on to hit number 3 on the Billboard 200. And as we said at the beginning, it's multi-platinum, 6 times platinum in the U.S., kids. But yeah, the overall sound, I know we talked about this a little bit. We have to point out, kids, that this followed after TNT, and this was before Let There Be Rock. So we just see, Chris, like the uptick of this band, kind of discovering who they are, who they want to be. I mean, we got to spend a couple minutes on Bond, dude, because I don't know how much we've really talked about Bond at length here on the show, if at all. I mean, gone way too soon. That voice, it just sounds effortless. Sounds like he wasn't even trying hard, but great rock voice, man. At any given time, depending on the countdown you read, what publication puts it out, he's in the top 10 or higher, top 5 maybe of best rock vocalists. Man, the future that band, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Brian Johnson. We know what this guy accomplished. He's a legend. But dude, Bond was just one of a kind, man.
Yeah, Bond's crazy in the sense of like when you hear him do stuff that's not AC/DC as well. Like when you hear some of the other things that because I mean he almost has like it's almost like the Freddie Mercury thing. It's like what else could he have done musically if it wasn't AC/DC? But the other thing about Bond, outside of his brilliant voice and kind of the differentiation of this album versus some of the other albums, is his tongue-in-cheek attitude towards songwriting, right? Like not being afraid to make kind of a joke of the whole thing. Which I love. Like it's almost like a lot of these songs they end up being kind of parodies of themselves in a way.
Right.
Where like with Brian Johnson, it is more serious. It seems more serious.
Right. And again, as I said, it doesn't look like Bond's trying very hard. It looks like he was always having a good time. Had too good of a time, of course, which led to the end. But, I don't know, man. You look at certain figures in music and you're like, well, he gets it. Like, and I'm not trying to make a direct comparison, but you just look at Chris Cornell and you're like, well, Chris gets it. You know what I mean? There's some vocalists that just understand how to do this. And Bond just, I don't know, man. Bond just had that aura. I think he had an aura about him that, if you didn't know who he was and you walked into a room with, you'd be like, well, man, he must be somebody because he's just got something about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And also like with the Chris Cornell example, it's almost like when you look at it, it seems effortless, right?
Yes.
It doesn't even look like he's trying. I 100% agree with that. And that's kind of the crazy thing. I would say anyone listening to this, go check out other things that Bon Scott sung.
Right.
Because it'll really blow you away if you only know him from AC/DC. It's kind of wild.
I have to piggyback off that real quick because I know you've heard Brian Johnson stuff from was it Geordie? I think before he ever got with AC/DC. Is there any part of you that feels like Brian intentionally changed the way he sang for ACDC. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm like, yeah, that's not how he sings. What do you have any thoughts on that, man, at all?
I mean, I think, ACDC was already kind of a big band before he
Mm,
joins, and obviously they blow up with Back in Black, right?
right.
It's kind of like Zach Wild filling in for Randy Rhoads. What would Zach Wild sound like if he didn't become the guitarist for Ozzy? Right? Like you
That's
have to
true.
piggyback off of like Randy Rhoads. Every guitar player Ozzy's had since then has to do the Randy Rhoads thing or be able to do the Randy Rhoads thing. And then how do you make that kind of your own?
Mm.
Because ACDC, when they found him, they probably were looking. We need someone that kind of sounds like Bon Scott, or this band's not going to work. Yeah, if he's doing an impersonation, he's done a damn good one for many, many, many years.
Yeah, I don't know that I would ever think he's doing that. I just think I think what I mean to say is he changed his voice to be like, well, that crooning stuff's gone. This is rock. This is hard rock. I gotta play to the strength of this band. If that was his thought, I think it's great. I'm not saying it was necessarily a bad move. Obviously, Chris, it wasn't a bad move. It's interesting because, man, when you see clips of him with that other band, you're like, I don't even recognize his voice. It is unrecognizable, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be such a hard thing to do when you come into one of these situations, right? And there's a lot of people it doesn't work out for them successfully
Mm,
when you join a band that's kind of already set up and popular and one member passes away, especially
sure.
like a lead singer or a lead guitar player. But yes, I would agree. He definitely seemed like he's like, nope, this is it now.
Yeah.
But I guess it's really easy when you get into the when you get into the groove and they start playing you tracks that are going to be on Back in Black, and you kind of realize like how big it could be. That's the other side of that.
Maybe it just came out of him. Maybe they started rehearsing and the voice just freaking came out because he felt like that's what the sound needed. I can't answer that myself, but I don't know. Maybe that's what happened, man. Uh, yeah. We mentioned the album cover, by the way. Got to mention that hotel or motel they were staying in front of was actually the Imperial 400 Motel, Sunset Boulevard, L.A., closed in '82. So apparently the place is not still standing. That's a shame. Talk about some place go get your picture taken in front of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be cool.
It's so crazy when you go back to these like because this happened a lot in the 70s where you would take photos in front of buildings. Like there's not many of these left, whereas a lot of people would consider them historical landmarks now.
Right, right.
uh,
Yeah, for sure. The by the way, kids, we're talking about the sound of this band. And the band was, getting big and like pub rock for lack of a better term in Australia, playing the bars and sort of climbing their way up, making a couple of albums. And this album, Chris, finds them very much in that transition phase where it's like, yeah, they're making a little bit of money, but they're not making so much that they can stop playing the dives and start playing auditoriums or theaters or music halls or arenas. I'm sure they're. I mean, in '76, they're still 4 years away from an arena, I would think, because Back in Black happens. But it's crazy, man, to look back at this and to hear it and everything, and then to see where they took from there. It's wild, dude. The evolution of this band.
yeah, and you do see a shift of attitude a little bit as they start getting more popular as
Mm,
far as like what they're kind of writing. But this album, I've talked about this on 6M before. There's funny songs on this album because sometimes you need that when you're playing in front of people that maybe have never heard of you, right?
yes, good call.
Uh, like that's the thing. Like I can go into a bar and play all of my own stuff, like at an open mic. Doesn't mean that everyone in the bar is going to listen to it, but if you throw in something funny or you throw in, something recognizable like the Eagles or whatever,
Mm.
right? It may change their attitude towards the entire band. And this album that's what I was saying kind of at the beginning is this album kind of tells you what you're going to get with this band, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's got to be Bond, right? The sense of humor. That's Bond, isn't it? Totally.
for sure. And I think that, that's the big difference between like this album and some other ACDC albums is
Yeah, I
this,
agree with that.
it's on full Front Street here with Bond's sense of humor. Like we have a song about big balls. On this
Right?
album,
Yes.
right? Like,
I my joke for years about this band has been they've made an entire career singing about their crotch. and made millions of dollars doing it. Like, I mean, listen, hey, look, like you, there was a period of time where I didn't like this band. Full disclosure, kids, I didn't like this band because I'm like, I don't know, the adult in my brain at an early age was saying, how much longer are you going to keep singing about your privates? I don't understand. Like, you don't have to become a church band, of course, but can we move on and sing about, I don't know, anything different? But then, like, the older you get, I think you just tend to appreciate more. And then when you start hearing other bands and how certain bands sell out and change their sound to fit the time, I'm looking at you, Kiss in the disco era. I love Kiss. I'm just saying. And you know, other bands along the years. AC/DC's like, here's what we do. All right, 80s, here's what we do. 90s, here's what we do. 2000s, here's what we do. They're not changing. That's it. They know who they are. That's why, I mean, I have more respect for them today than I've ever had, to be honest with you.
Yeah, kind of the same. And I mean, that's why that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this album, because I definitely grew up in a time period where it was not, you had an ACDC shirt on, you're going to get made fun of. Like,
right.
For
Yeah.
the most part. Like, and I think it's part of it is when you're younger, you almost take music too seriously.
Yes, I agree with that.
So AC/DC is not a very serious band.
No, not at all.
They got a guy in a schoolboy outfit stripping on stage, you know, like, they're not meant to be serious. And I think once you get the joke, it makes you appreciate the band more.
I love it. I love that. I love that it's so iconic. I just, you know, there'll never be another AC/DC. There never will be. Like, you know, I'm going to throw Jackal out there, and you know what I mean by this. Jackal has a sound that's very similar to AC/DC. And I'm not saying they're doing it intentionally, because maybe that's just Jesse James Dupree's voice and how they sound. But I'm also not saying they didn't do it on purpose either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jackal's kind of a weird one because you're doing like a harmonica solo with a chainsaw.
Yes. By the way, talk about a gimmick, brother. Put the chainsaw down before someone gets hurt. I'm just saying. Like,
great. It's great though. It's a great.
It's gimmick. Great. I'm just. But they were another band that kept singing about their privates and stuff they want to do to a woman. I'm like, all right, we can stop now. That's enough. Jeez, let's all calm down. I don't know. Well, let's get into this album, kids. The first song, 3 minutes, 52 seconds, is the title track of this album. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. I almost don't want to talk about it. I almost feel like we should just move to track 2 because I don't know what I can say. This song is, I mean, it's instantly recognizable. I think it's one of their best ones of all time. That opening hook, brother, if you didn't know this song and you heard the opening hook, you're not turning the album. You're not turning the song. You're like, all right, well, I got to hear what this is going to become, because holy Lord, Chris, it's again, what can I add to it? This song is fantastic, man. It's legendary.
Yeah, I implore everyone out there to put on a set of closed back headphones and listen to the song and how gritty it is and just how great that opening riff is. And even though it's minimal, but it's great. And the groove of this song is incredible. Backup vocals, amazing. I will tell a funny story about this song. I worked with this guy, Rob O'Neill. Shout out to Rob O'Neill if he's listening to this. He, as a kid, he thought the lyrics were Dirty Dan and the Thunder Chiefs.
Oh, that's great.
And that it was about a biker gang.
Ah.
So, like, in my head, every time I hear this song, I actually will find myself singing Dirty Dan and the Thunder Chiefs.
That is wonderful. I had that with Bachman Turner Overdrive with Taking Care of Business. I always thought they were saying bacon carrot biscuits. I don't know why.
Is it Huey Lewis and the News that do Dirty Laundry?
Yes.
So when I was a kid, I thought that he was just saying "kick him in the nuts" repeatedly.
Oh, that's Glenn Fry.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's Glenn Fry, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's a song "Dirty Laundry" where he's like, "Kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down."
Yeah.
But as a kid, I thought he was just saying "kick them in the nuts."
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's funny how that works. So every time I hear this, it makes me think about my friend and makes me laugh. But outside of that, is a brilliant song. And once again, pointing back to Bon Scott's kind of cheekiness, is inspired by a villain from this show called Dishonest John. It's an animated thing. He apparently carried a card around that, like, his business card was like "Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap." So
see, from what I gathered, it was from a cartoon, Beanie and Cecil.
Maybe I'm wrong. The character's name is Dishonest John.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, it shows you I'm not familiar with that cartoon.
Now, me either. This is probably an Australian cartoon, I would assume, right? I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
seen it, but it is funny, and the band has called this song a cartoon blues song,
Ah,
which is one points to how much they don't take themselves seriously, right?
right.
And it's great. Like I think this track is a perfect entry point to talk about how ACDC blends humor with hard rock and kind of like this playful nature to this very see, like he's singing about a hitman, but it's so playful, like
It is, for sure. Yeah.
Boink Studios YouTube is the home of Tom Clark's 6M podcast. Tom Clark's main event, Bear Mode, a podcast review of The Bear, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Subscribe to the channel for archives that date back to 2014, with new content being uploaded every week. And check out boinkstudios.com for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Bookmark the site today.
I got to be honest with you, man. Spoiler alert. And it's not that I don't enjoy the album. I kind of feel like this is the hit on the album. There's other good songs on here, but for me personally, I don't think anything else tops this song on this album. To me,
oh
it
no,
just feels so complete, you know?
this is one of those ones where there's a reason why it's the title track, right?
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
And also like this probably never gets released in America unless someone at the record label hears this song and they're like, why is this not on Back in Black?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 Well, kids, from track 1 to track 2, two different worlds here. Love at First Feel, 3 minutes, 13 seconds. This song was not included on the Australian version, only on the international versions, which is what we're talking about here today, everybody. 9 tracks, if I didn't say it, 9 tracks, international version with the black bars on the cover. To say this is an upbeat rocker with classic Bon Scott mischief is an understatement. I mean, it's just sort of a happy, bob your head, silly goofball song. But this is Bon at his best, just tongue-in-cheek humor, man, for sure.
I know it's like kind of crazy to say it's one of their more simple songs musically,
It is.
but it is. Like I don't know how else to put it. It's just straight ahead rock, very punchy and bright. Like Angus definitely has the treble up a little more than he normally would, and it gives you kind of like once again the live bar gig feel. Very very catchy chorus. The chorus is designed to be like super radio friendly, you can tell, but the lyrics are not to the point
Not
where
at all.
radio stations wouldn't play the song because it's kind of a risque song. It's like it's very lighthearted in nature, but it is a story about kind of a one night stand or a brief encounter, hence the title Love at First Feel.
Right, of course.
Which once again, this is like, as I've gotten older, you have an appreciation for some of these jokes where before you probably just looked at it as like, why does these songs kind of all sound the same?
Right. Yeah. That's yeah, it again, not meant to be taken seriously, everybody. Let's just put it that way. Not meant to be taken seriously. But yeah, it's again, not a whole lot to say about it, just a fun song. I will say this, if nothing else, Angus gets to show off. I'm sure that's him on the solo, although it could be Malcolm. But, we haven't really mentioned, Chris, what a solid freaking band these guys were. Even as they changed members over the years, the drummer changed a couple of times, I think.
Oh man,
But
that's almost more important than like your lead singer switch, because now you got to play this exact groove that
yes,
ACDC plays with one of the like most renowned rhythm guitar player. He always gets put on like most underrated guitar player, but like rhythm guitar players know Malcolm's like that's what you want to do.
Malcolm's
If
fantastic.
you can hold the groove as good as Malcolm, then you're doing well. And Angus plays all the solos, but
Yeah,
Malcolm
yeah,
is the
yeah.
one keeping it keeping it right and keeping it tight.
Towing the line, yeah. And you know what? Phil Rudd, and I've heard this said about him before, and the first time I ever heard it said, I heard it said by a drummer. And I'm like, I don't know if I ever could have said that out loud because I'm not a drummer, but it makes a lot of sense because whoever it was that said this was like, best thing about Phil Rudd is that he doesn't mess with the cymbals. He doesn't go to the cymbal every other beat. And I'm like, wow, he doesn't, does he? He just lets the drums do the work. And like, not not that there's nothing wrong with fills, right? Nothing wrong with going to the cymbals when the song needs it, but they're like, yeah, that's how he plays. He doesn't lean on the cymbals to fill in. He just, and I'm like, holy cow, Chris, till I heard someone say that, I don't know if I ever could have vocalized that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very good point. And then you think of someone like, this is going to sound crazy, but someone like Vinnie Paul, they kind of followed suit with that, with this idea, like just letting the guitar do some of the work, leaving a little bit of space on the high end. Because the thing about guitar is you're actually, as a guitar player, and a lot of people don't get this, you're kind of the mids of the entire song.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you don't want the cymbals and the guitar stepping on one another, and ACDC does a great job of that. Vinnie Paul later on Pantera, which I'm sure Rudd's one of his influences. But that's one thing you can say about ACDC is that they stay in a groove like the entire time. You don't ever have to
The
worry
entire
about them.
time.
They're not going to get jazzy, brother.
No. No, there's no experimentation happening. They're not Coltrane here, everybody, for sure.
Yeah, they're like Genesis. Fuck that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Man, don't get me started on some of those Genesis songs, man.
I mean, there was a lot of proggy stuff during this time period, which is maybe why people were so drawn to ACDC as far as like rock goes during this, because a lot of like experimental stuff.
Right.
And King Diamond and all, like, not King Diamond, King Crimson, like that kind of, like, you think about overseas, like you get out of the Beatles Stones era a little bit. Well, the Stones it's always a Stones era, but you get kind of out of that and you get a lot of like weird experimentation, and ACDC's like, nah, we're good.
Again, we know what we're going to do. Hey, before we go to the next track,
it's right before hair metal, right?
It is.
So it's kind of a weird. It's almost like the Van Halen thing, where it's like they're kind of a weird band stuck in time, or the Guns N' Roses thing. Like the timelines for what else was going on musically. AC/DC doesn't really ever make any sense.
No, you're right for sure. I have to give the bass player a shout, because I'm bass player at heart. That's me. Mark Evans is great, and has he been their only bass player? I think. Has anyone ever replaced him on the bass, or am I wrong?
As far as I know, but once again, me and you we're not claiming to be diehard AC/DC fans here. So if we're getting this wrong, we apologize. But yeah, as far as I know,
Cliff Williams. I apologize. Mark Evans was the bass player on this. Cliff Williams was the bass player that we all know of now, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. So as a not bass player, pulling bass player names for bands that I just kind of enjoy, it's gonna be a difficult one.
That's fair. Yeah.
Malcolm and Angus at the brothers, they're kind of iconic in the same way like the Van Halen brothers are iconic. Everybody talks about them.
Sure.
Which is unfortunate the rest of the band, because they're also really good in the same way. The same thing with Van Halen. It's like, that bass player's really good, guys.
Yeah, no kidding. Dude, I got to tell you, man, I got a lot of love for Cliff Williams. I think Cliff Williams is fantastic. We were just on a pod the other day talking to somebody, and I was like, Cliff plays what the song needs. And, can he rip through there like Johnny Entwistle? I don't know. Look, kids, all disrespect. That would have been rude. All respect to the Who. But, Thunderfingers, I don't know, man. I could take or leave it. Like, I appreciate that he's incredible at it. But I just, I don't know if that kind of bass playing is for me. I just appreciate more, hey, without me, this song is not the same. That's what I appreciate about a good bass player who sits in the pocket, knows, he and the drummer are in lockstep. That's why I respect most. That's why I like Cliff Williams so much, man.
I mean, I love like very complicated bass and time signatures as much as the next guy, but I lean more to your side, especially as someone who kind of writes country and country alt rock.
Yeah,
like it's very important for you to be there. Like, what if you're listening to a Johnny Cash tune and he starts doing the bass player starts doing a bunch of jazz? Like
yes.
it's important. It's very important. I think that's the Beatles fans and us talking though, because Paul McCartney never did too much on bass either.
And I was recording with a guy one time, and when I say recording, kids, it was just years ago on cassette tape, pretty sure, just having fun. And at one point he stopped playing and I kept playing. I think it was during the chorus. And then he popped back in and we got done. I'm like, why'd you drop out? And he's like, I just want to let you solo. I'm like, I play bass. I don't solo, man. What is this? He's like, well, I just thought I'd let you do your thing. And I'm like, nah, you do your thing and I'll back you up. I'm good. So, yeah.
There's something to be said about both, right? Like,
Sure.
I don't dismiss it, but I tend to lean towards what you're saying. And that's probably, that's funny because I'm a guitar player. So, of course, I want the bass to do less.
Just sit over there with your hat on and just play your freaking bass and shut up. Yeah.
But, all joking aside, and bass is very, very important. And when you find a good bass player, you want to hold on to him as long as you can because it's kind of an underappreciated job in a band in a lot of ways.
I totally agree with that. And look, kids, this is serious business. I know we're having chuckles and having a laugh. This is serious business, all right? Music is serious. Everybody understand that? Track number 3 is called Big Balls. Let's talk about it. 2 minutes and 30. Would you like that segue? 2 minutes, 38 seconds. Again, Chris, what do I say about this song, man? This song is freaking ridiculous, dude. What do you think about this?
It's great. Like, in the band the rest of the band being in on Bon Scott's joke makes it even better. The way that they drop out to let him describe his high society balls is incredible. It's I know this is like one that people consider the funniest, like one of the funniest ACDC songs ever recorded.
I agree.
I know that, like, because I've heard this in the past. I don't have notes on it, but I know that Bon has, when he was recording it, they had to do his vocals like a bunch of times because he couldn't keep a straight face, like, laughing at his own vocal takes.
That's great.
But the chorus, when the chorus hits, some pretty good riffs in there. For Mingus, so you get a little bit of that, but this is definitely just a perfect, like, kind of explanation of Bon Scott's personality, right? More than anything else.
Sure. I agree with that. Yeah, for sure. It's just, and kids, in case you can't figure out what's going on, he's basically mocking the social elite and trying to do that posh accent and that take, and I love how the band just backs him up, straight laced, back up singing. Like, it's freaking wonderful, man.
Yeah, it's something to behold if you've never if you're listening to this show and you've never listened to that song. Definitely you'll get a chuckle out of it for sure, especially in today's society with some of these billionaires. You'll get a really good laugh. Maybe one of them's building a ballroom at the moment. You could get a good chuckle about.
Yeah I just there again, man, I just, sense of humor is great. And I think, if you do it too much, you become a joke band. But if you do it here and there, like in spurts, it just gives the crowd a more enjoyable concert, I would imagine. So, like, we mentioned the Eagles earlier. I just can't imagine going to see the Eagles live. Again, no disrespect. But I've seen concert footage, and I'm like, this got to be one of the most boring shows that a man could ever pay good money to go see. They just stand there. They don't move. They barely tap their feet as they're playing. I'm like, you paid to see this? Did you? Like, oi.
I've seen the Eagles live. It's great. It's a great show. But
shut up! Really? Am I wrong? Am I?
Well, yeah. I'm an Eagles fan, so that's that's the other thing. But it is very much what you're saying. They do some funny things, like, but it is definitely not. You're not going there you're not going to get the same show that you get at an ACDC concert, even at their age now. I'll tell you that.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Let's see, kids. Moving on to track number 4. This one's called Rocker. 2 minutes, 52 seconds. More of an upbeat tune. This was originally on TNT 1975, included on International Dirty Deeds for pacing and balance. Speedy rock and roll tribute reminiscent of Chuck Berry. I can actually hear that.
Yeah, it's for sure. I mean, I think it's meant to be like a 1950s throwback, and Angus has famously said that Chuck Berry's inspired him like he inspired a lot of other people. But yeah, I will say Phil Rudd, it definitely drives this song.
Oh, totally.
It's a breakneck pace, and he never, ever gets outside of the pocket on it. It's kind of a, when you're talking about drums, like, this is a good showcase of drums on this song.
Man, you know what? This is a good song, dude. Like, it hits hard too,
And if you guys want to know, like, the lyrical theme of this is, I'm a rocker. It's just about playing rock and roll. There's
I
no
mean, it's
other,
basically
there's nothing deeper than that.
he enjoys rocking. Yes, I agree. Yeah, again, nothing. There's no layers. There's no textures here, everybody. There's no great production in terms of listen to how this was mixed. This was just straightforward rock. This to me sounds like they're all in the studio jamming. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and this is also one of those songs that the Australian releases of albums are different than the international releases of albums. So this was actually on TNT in Australia.
Yep.
And then it's on Dirty Deeds here. But yeah, it's this is famously when I think of ACDC live, this is one of the moments I think of with their live show, because it's usually Angus's during his like the early live shows. Like if you watch what's that big thing that people play in England? What is that thing called?
I'm not sure. Cricket, maybe?
No, it starts with I can't think of it. There's a famous like ACDC live. We had it on VHS. My dad had it on VHS. I remember watching it as a kid. And there's like hundreds. There's like 100,000 people there.
Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, Wembley, right? So
There
like
you
it's
go.
them playing there, and like this song hits, and this is Angus's striptease talking about like live shows versus the Eagles. So they usually use this as the striptease number where he runs around the stage and drops his shorts, shows everybody his ass, because that's once again this is the band that we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Tom Clark's 6M podcast is sponsored in part by Radius Law Group. Every day, Radius helps individuals, families, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations throughout North Carolina, Florida, and Pennsylvania resolve their legal issues by providing effective legal counsel in the areas of estate planning, as well as elder law and Medicaid. Radius Law holds the radical belief that working with a lawyer can indeed be enjoyable. So give them a call at 1-800-519-5667 for more information and tell them that Tom Clark's 6M podcast sent you. I can imagine back in 76, this was fun to watch them play it live.
Yeah, that same show also has when they do for those about to rock, it has like actual cannons firing. Which is pretty
Yes. That's very cool. Have you seen AC/DC live? I assume you have.
I have not.
Neither have I.
I have not. I think by the time that I came to like the band, like once again, I remember these the VHS my dad had and stuff, and watching that like young. But by the time I got to like middle school, high school, I was like, this is not for me. And only more recently have I came back around to appreciate them. Not that I didn't appreciate Malcolm and Angus and what they did for guitar,
sure,
all that stuff, but it definitely the time period in which it would have been cool to see them. Like I don't know that I'd want to see them now, right?
Mm.
Maybe just pop that find that VHS and pop that thing into thing in and watch that. But it's it's the same thing with the Stones. Like I've never seen the Stones live, but I don't know that that would be the experience I would want, just to mark it off a bucket list kind of thing.
That would be tough. That'd be tough. Like, we're all getting older. So that's something to keep in mind. I know they're still going. By the way, do you have any thoughts on, we see a lot of other bands who are still going. From the 70s, they're still going. And through the years, they have replaced one member after another to the point where there might be one original guy left, and then maybe the band carries on in some form or fashion. Do you envision, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when Angus is gone, and we don't wish Angus gone, or Brian, either one, is that the end of the band?
I think if either of the brothers pass away, right, like it's in, if Malcolm or Angus passes away, I think that
or we've lost Malcolm.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, they are still touring, aren't they?
They are still touring, yeah. So I don't know who's playing Malcolm's parts, but
I guess to answer the question, no, then, because that would have been I forgot about. Sorry, rest in peace, Malcolm.
Well,
that didn't happen that long ago, right?
It wasn't that long. I think it was last year. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I guess to answer your question, I guess not. AC/DC could live on forever if you can find the right people to do it.
Yeah, I just when Brian was out, I think was Brian out with surgery or something, whatever it was that happened, and Axl took his spot. And I'm like, yeah. And then I saw some clips, and I'm like, holy cow, he sounds good. Like I was really floored by how good Axl. And you know what I think? Unlike the songs that Axl has written for his own band, in AC/DC, you don't need to scream. You don't need to howl. You don't need to carry a note for 2.5 minutes. Like, you can just short, punchy lyrics. I kind of felt like Axl was more in his groove with ACDC than he was with GNR. Is that weird?
No, I mean, Axl. I will give Axl a shout out because I think like recently the live stuff I've seen from him, his voice has gotten a lot better. I don't know if
I
he's
agree.
got
Yes.
a vocal coach or something to,
Yeah.
because when he first came back touring with Guns N' Roses, some of that stuff's rough.
Not good.
But it's definitely something it seems like he's been working on, right? Like I don't know what all that entails, but I just want to give him a shout out and say he sounds a lot better live right now than he did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yes, I remember that, and you're right. Like, during that time period specifically, yeah, it sounded like I would rather have seen him with ACDC than Guns N' Roses for sure.
Yeah. So weird how that happens. Let's see, kids. We're going to track number 5, which is 5 minutes, 47 seconds. It's like the second longest track on the album, Problem Child. Right away, I enjoy this quite a bit. Do I think that it's too long? Possibly too long. I don't know that it ruins it or anything like that for me, but I do like this. I do like this song. This was later reused on the U.S. version of Let There Be Rock. It's one of AC/DC's signature early riffs. And again, as we said, long ending. The international version, apparently the Australian version, Chris, does not have this long ending. This sounds like an AC/DC song. Not that the other ones didn't, but this kind of sounds like if you had to pick a song out of a lineup that wasn't Dirty Deeds from this era, you could say, oh, this is kind of what the band maybe becomes as the longer they're together, maybe, if I'm saying it right. But Problem Child, I know. Like, some of these songs I wasn't very familiar with through the years, kind of heard occasionally. But Problem Child I know pretty well. What's your take on this one?
I would agree with you. If you take Dirty Deeds out of the equation, this does sound like you could put it, which, I mean, I guess they did. You could put it on later AC/DC albums and be like, oh, that fits perfect, right? That sounds exactly like AC/DC. The only thing I would say about that, though, is Angus is not doing as much of his bluesy guitar riffing here. He's actually being more melodic than he normally is. And as far as Malcolm Young goes, this is a showcase of how great of a rhythm guitar player he is. He's playing something super, like, deceptively simple, but it's so incredibly effective in the song.
Right.
And it's also one of those things, like, when you hear this thing with closed back headphones on, you're like, well, that's a good song. Wish I would have thought of that as a guitar player, at least. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I do enjoy this, man. I just think I'll say there's a lot going on. There's not, but it feels busy, but not in a bad way. Does that make sense? It just feels like it's maybe a little bit like controlled chaos, perhaps. And again, that's not a slam at all. It just feels like a really involved rock song to me.
Yeah, and I think that it fits the lyrical theme too, right? Like, it's just about being a troublemaker. It's kind of a misfit anti-hero type song. But yeah, I would agree. There's definitely more going on in this song than some other others. And like I said, it's also Angus's solo is like, and all of the licks he's playing over top of stuff is kind of different than a lot of the, like, most his iconic stuff. It's a little different. So it's a good song. It's a really, really fun song. I know that, like, this is one that they usually throw into their encore.
That would make a lot of sense to me, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Get people back on their feet. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Well, look, kids, it's, we talk about classic AC/DC and the way the band sounds. And we mentioned, Chris mentioned, Angus's melodic sounds in this one. Buddy, track number 6 at 3 minutes 18. It gets in, it gets out at 3:18. And this is flat out blues. This is just, right? It's just flat out blues song. There's going to be some rocking.
Yeah, this is a chugga chugga choo choo blues song with Malcolm just chugging along. Angus, very light with his fills on this song. It's definitely like a very bluesy ballroom, got the swing type groove to it. It's good.
I agree. Yeah,
I bet that this was a lot of fun to play too.
I would say it's got that classic cadence, that classic call and response cadence of a blues song too. Like, Chris, this stuff's going to be made. This stuff's going to be made centuries down the road. You know what I mean? Like this style's never gonna it's never gonna go out of style. People always find a way to remake it or do it straight and it still works. I just think it's a classic tempo and classic arrangement, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's something works. There's no reason to stop doing it.
Right.
You don't have to stop doing that thing just to be different.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. This song reflects the band's Australian pub rock roots, which I can totally hear. It's got a loose groove, old school rock and roll swagger. I totally hear that. It's a fun song for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think this track is a great look into pre-stadium ACDC.
Oh,
That's probably
yeah.
why I like this album so much, really, because it does. The entire thing has like the vibe of like, hey, my friend's band's playing at this bar. Do you want to go?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way,
Sure.
where you're blown away by seeing a local live band or something. You're like, oh wow, that was really good.
Right. Nice sing along song too. That's as a musician, you're crazy if you don't do some songs in your act that the crowd can sing along to, whether it's a chorus or the call and response like they're doing here. I just think audience participation can make it more fun for them too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's see. Track number 7, Kids. Best title ever. 6 minutes, 58 seconds, everybody. We're getting to Beatles territory now. Hey Jude territory, I think. This is Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire. I mean, best title ever. This is a really fun tune based on Bon Scott's real-life financial frustrations, spoken word humor, and a slow building groove. Again, Bon's in his element, Chris. He's having fun. Good track.
Yeah, the spoken breakdown of the song I think makes it.
Yeah.
It's just a really good look at who Bon Scott was as a front man, right? It's such a cool tune. You've got this very slow building groove, and it, like you said, it stretches to like 7 minutes. And it's using this repeating riff. The guitar is using this repeating riff, and it increased like the intensity of it, going from like soft to really, really loud. Becomes almost hypnotic in the way that they do it. And then as far as like Angus solos on this album, while everyone would think of some other songs, this is like one of his best solos on the album as far as like being expressive and kind of different. It's good. It's a really good song.
I totally agree with you. And I think this is the song that on this album anyway, that is really getting to that territory of when people accuse this band of, well, all these songs sound the same. Like I won't say this is where it started, but I kind of been like, yeah, this is a good example of, if this was the only song they'd ever done like that, but then there's many, many songs after this one through the years that they'll get one riff and they'll just play it. And, again, there's nothing wrong because they're still playing and they're still getting paid and they're still known worldwide and they're a treasured band. Do you see the other side of the argument there, Chris, where it comes to people kind of complaining that they get stuck in this loop, or do you think that even matters anymore?
I mean, people complain to complain, man. If they put out something
That's
different, people would complain that it didn't sound like an ACDC album.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Metallica has kind of famously said this, like, if we don't change, people bitch. And then if we go back to what made us popular, people bitch. So there's just no winning. So we're just going to put out whatever we want.
Right.
Kinda, yeah. Like you're never going to please, when you have the kind of peaks that ACDC has had, you're never going to please people with your next release, right? Like, so it's in some ways, it's probably better to just stay true to what you do and do that well, because you're going to upset less people. But there's something to be said, like, would you want to hear an ACDC album where they got all weird and didn't do the thing that you came to see,
Yeah. They're singing ballads and whatnot. Can you imagine? Man, slow tempo, doing a waltz or something. Come on.
Yeah, this has one of my favorite lines on the entire album in the breakdown section where he says, "Get your fucking jumbo jet out of my airport."
Oh, I like that. That's good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. Back to this idea of, the sound. Buddy, if you don't like this song, you apparently don't like AC/DC, because this is what they do. This is what I won't say it's all they became known for, but this is a chunk of what they became known for later, was finding their groove for a particular song and they play it over and over and over again. To be fair, the blues, a lot of the blues is based on, I got this one guitar lick, I'm going to play it, and not only am I going to play the same guitar lick from start to finish, I'm going to repeat the same words 3 different times. Again, call and response. So, like, if you don't like this tune, Chris, you probably don't even like the band, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, if you've made it this far into the album and you hear this, and you're like, I don't think this is for me, I would understand.
Right? Yeah, I get it.
It's fine to just step away from
Yeah.
the band.
Yeah, stay off social media. Just stay away. Just put the album down. It's fine. You can move on. Go listen to something else that it's probably terrible, but go do it. I don't care.
I mean, I think that's why Back in Black became so popular, though, because that is like really the showcase of Angus Young kind of stepping more, doing more crazy riffs and stuff, right? Like,
Sure.
like some of the more iconic guitar riffs. So, but it's also the reason I probably like this album more than a lot of their other albums, because it does have these kind of just like, let's stick to the roots. Let's do some blues.
Yeah. Well, speaking of blues, everybody, nice segue. Track number 8 is Right On, 5 minutes, 54 seconds, third longest song on the album. Dude, as soon as we sat here and said, well, you're going to get what you're going to get from ACDC. They're not going to do anything any different. You're not going to hear anything slow. And then, I look and it's Right On. So, I'm dead wrong. Is this an amazing departure as you're rocking out to this album that suddenly this comes on? You're like, wait a minute. I wonder how this went over in 76 when people heard it for the first time. Like, wait a minute, what's this? Do you know what I mean? I'd love to know that.
And this is kind of one of those things where it's like, maybe we would have gotten more of this with ACDC if Bon Scott doesn't pass away. Right? Because this is a very lonely, introspective song and a complete tonal shift from everything else on this album. But it's like, it's a song about regret and bad choices and trying to move forward in your life. Which we know how that plays out, right, with Bon Scott. So it's, maybe we would have gotten more of this, if we keep the same lead singer. I will say, if you like early Fleetwood Mac, you'll like this song. It sounds like
wow, it does, doesn't it?
It's very slow blues in the style of like early Fleetwood Mac.
Peter Green, those guys, yeah.
Yeah, one of the very few clean-ish guitar songs as well off any AC/DC album.
And, I love this song. Like, I really love it. And I love this AC/DC song. I just love this song. Like, I think his vocals are perfect here, and everybody, if you're a diehard AC/DC fan, don't hate on me. I'm not doing this intentionally. It just keeps coming up in my conversation here. But, could Brian do this? Maybe, sure. But could he do it believably and consistently? Like, to your point, Chris, had Bon not died, what sort of band do we get 20 years later? Let's fast forward to 1996. Do we have a band who for 20 straight years have done the, and I'll say formulaic, but I don't mean that negatively, the formulaic riff AC/DC song? Then you get these peppered in where you're like, wow, these guys have range. Like, and then there's humorous songs that make you turn red in the face because it's embarrassing. Like, it makes me wonder, man, what would this band, I don't know. It's stupid to play the guessing game because we don't know that. I don't know. In my head, I just keep going there for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think about. Like, what would the band be? And would they be more, because I mean, AC/DC is respected, but would they be more like, would we not be having these kind of discussions where like, where I'm talking about like high school? Like, it would definitely not be cool to be an AC/DC fan when I was in high school. Like, does that become a different story? Right? Like, if Bon lives and there's more of this stuff sprinkled in and you see the band in kind of a different light more often. I don't know. That's a hard one.
It is a hard one.
In an alternate dimension, maybe they went on to write like some of the craziest stuff that we'll never hear. Who knows?
Somewhere out there in the multiverse, Bon got his act together and got his partying under control and maybe stopped drinking eventually, and then everything would have progressed the way it did, unfortunately.
Yeah, this song is kind of hard to listen knowing where it ends, right?
Yes.
It's a very haunting foreshadow of what's to come for Bon.
Yeah, man, because we lost him in, I want to say 79, I believe. Think about that. Like, John was killed in 1980. John Lennon. And it's like, when you think about like Elvis died in 77, you know what I mean? Like the 80s, man. Not that the 80s were blah. I'm just saying, like, for me as a kid growing up, I think of 80s of where things started. We're past the hippies of the 60s and past Vietnam. We're past, bell bottoms and gold chains, disco of the 70s. And now we're going to go into, we don't know what we're going to go into now. But like Bond's dead, Elvis is gone, John gets shot in 1980. And, not that there's some weird correlation, but man, music from that point on, I don't know, man. Like, could probably do a whole show on what could have been had any of the three of these guys not died. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it definitely, it's another one of those times where there's a clear tonal shift, right? As
Yes.
well. So like ACDC, like I said earlier, they're kind of the outlier of that, really, for what everything else that was getting written and played in the 80s. Like Back in Black coming out in 81, like you're 2 years away from hair metal really breaking out. So
Yeah.
it at the same time, we have talked about this little known band from 1979 known as Van Halen, the album Van Halen. You guys can go check that out. It's in the archives.
Did you say Van Hagar or Van Halen?
Van Halen.
Oh, I'm just trying to light you up. That's all.
I'm not gonna let you get my goose, Tom. not today. If you want to hear someone crap on Sammy Hagar a lot, also check out the Van Halen review in the archives.
I got one line for you. Take off my Van Halen t-shirt before you curse the band and they break up.
Yeah, exactly.
Freaking love the wedding singer, man. I'm saying. We got one track left, kids. Track number 9, 5 minutes 15. This is Squealer. If you're looking for this song to end on some kind of deep emotional note, you found the wrong song for it. If you're looking for, Keats, if you're looking for Shakespeare, if you're looking for, you name it, you're not going to get it here. Squealer is a comedy storytelling, raunch, tension. It starts off slow and erupts into a classic. Let's call it the AC/DC stomp. I think it's a good way to describe it. Again, another fun song, Chris. I mean, you start out the album with the title track, which is effing amazing. There's no two ways about it. And you end with Squealer. How do you think about this when closing out the album, by the way?
I think it's really fun close out, and the build up is I was trying to find the best way to say this on your show, just in case there's children listening in a car. It's about a very awkward sexual experience. So the groove itself, the creepy tension building riff that they have, Angus using these squealing guitar notes throughout the song, the dynamics of the song increasing intensity. It's very sinister. It's kind of once again, this is like, where would the band be if Bon Scott doesn't die? It's not one that they perform live a lot, but it's kind of walking a dangerous line between being funny and being creepy to some extent.
For sure, yeah. I think you handled that very diplomatically. So, yeah, well done. It's a good point, man. Like we were talking earlier about what this band maybe could have become had Bon lived, and I'm sure this probably would have been quite a bit. Let me ask you this: too much in terms of, and I'm not trying to throw the words politically correct out here, but we know what happens in the '80s. MTV happens in the '80s, like every act on the MTV was squeaky clean. Of course they effing weren't, but I don't know. When you're in mainstream, would Bon need to change? Would he? I don't know, dude. Now that I think about it, I wonder how this would have went over in the 80s and beyond,
Maybe they're one of those bands that don't become as big as they did as well, right? Like maybe they're more of a cult band as opposed to AC/DC. It's kind of a weird thing, man. The what ifs with this band is one that kind of baffles me in a lot of different ways for various reasons, because would Back in Black be the same? Would they have ever gotten to the level that they got to if they continued down more of this path, right? Like it's kind of impossible to answer.
Well, Hell's Bells was done for Bon. That opening bell, that chiming bell was done for Bon to honor him. And it's like, yeah, that song doesn't happen. That's Back in Black doesn't happen, Chris.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Is like what I mean.
man,
Some of those songs, they would probably have still done right.
sure.
But the what ifs there and what does that album sound like, right? Is it's crazy to
Yeah,
think about.
you may blow your mind even more. Get ready for this. What if in the multiverse we live in a universe where we didn't get some of the best songs of all time because stuff happened differently? That'll make you stay awake at night, brother. I promise you.
Oh, I'm already going to be thinking in my head what else Bon Scott could have came up with, right?
Next
He's got
episode, kids, the
some
multiverse theory.
he's got some funny things on this album. Like where else would this have went?
And again, as my brain is wandering as we're wrapping this up, does Bond eventually marry? Does Bond eventually have a kid? If he becomes a family man, does his style change? A lot of rock guys, their style changed over time. Just like a lot of actors, their way of it's like, well, I wanted to do this film because I wanted my kid to be able to see a movie where his dad's in it, where his dad's not killing somebody. It's a superhero movie or whatever. It makes you wonder, like, I want to do an album that my kid can actually listen to, and I'm not embarrassed for him to hear it. I don't know. It just makes you wonder, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
See, open up a whole other can of worms here at the end, man.
Yeah. This becomes it becomes a different episode altogether. We
Yes.
start going down this rabbit hole.
Welcome to the What If podcast. What if Bon Scott had not died? My God. You know what? The prep for that show would be insane. You could spend weeks, months crafting out what you believe could have happened. And you'd be like, we haven't recorded the first episode yet. Are we ever going to do this show? Yeah, probably not. You know what I mean? The prep would be insane, dude.
Yeah.
Insane.
It also would be like a 6-hour podcast. We'd have to break into like part 1,
Yeah.
part 2, part 3.
Yes. It's a podcast that never ends, everybody. Well, kids, there you have it. There's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Again, considered a classic from 76. Possibly not AC/DC's biggest album of all time, depending on what your personal opinion is. Maybe this is your favorite album of all time. It's entirely possible. But I think, if nothing else, Chris, this album is a nice little snapshot of who they were becoming, and possibly what they were going to be later until, of course, the tragic passing of Bon Scott. So I think there's a little something of all three here to some degree, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah. All right, kids. Well, before we get out of here, Chris, if you've got one for us here, let's get your last word on Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Put on a good set of headphones. And even if you're not an AC/DC fan, or you think you're not an AC/DC fan, sit down and give this album a listen again. Because it's very special in the way it sounds, especially with a set of good headphones. And that's kind of how we ended up in this rabbit hole talking about this album. But what I will say is, as we've talked through this, I kind of even more so gained more appreciation for AC/DC as someone who liked them as a very young child because his dad liked them, and then didn't like them at all up until, I don't know, past 20 years or so, right? So it's a weird dynamic. Don't close your mind off to albums. Sometimes go back and revisit them. As you get older, things change. You might like it better.
Yeah, man. Always go back and give something else a chance. Give it a chance again. I totally agree with that. And sometimes that's hard to do with movies, because if you grow up loving a movie and you watch it as an adult, you're like, wow, that movie's bad. Like I thought for sure it was good, buddy, was I wrong? Like it didn't age well, or maybe I was dead wrong to begin with. I don't know.
RoboCop 2, everyone. It's in the archives.
Nah, you'll enjoy the episode far more than you'll enjoy the movie. I promise you that. So, yeah, for sure. Well, kids, there's a whole lot more AC/DC to talk about here. In case you haven't figured it out, these guys are still going. It's 2025. Freaking insanity. There's no retirement tour happening. I don't know if they've ever even announced, hey, this is it. No, I think they're just going to still keep going. And it's kind of one of those things, kids. There was a point in time when, well into his 70s, maybe, Jerry Lee Lewis was still out there. And it's, I think they said that in the closing of the movie Great Balls of Fire. But like sometimes you kind of take it for granted a band or a singer is always going to be there until they're not. And like, I know one day certain other members of this band are going to go, and I won't be looking forward to it because I grew up listening to a lot of this stuff, as a lot of you folks did, I'm sure. And, but Chris is right, everybody. Go check out this album if you haven't heard it in a while. It's definitely worth your time. And we will circle back and talk more ACDC here on the 6M podcast. Thanks, everybody, for downloading, subscribing, liking on the YouTube. Please continue to check us out on boinkstudios.com and all of our other shows which are happening. We're releasing anywhere from 5 to 6 brand new episodes to 5 to 6 new shows per week, everybody. So do us a favor and check it out on the YouTube, and we appreciate you. And we will see you again next week with another brand new episode. But until then, that is ACDC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out our social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at 6M Podcasts. We'll see you next time.